Hi there, and welcome to the Salted Pepper, where we cook for real life using real food and we keep it real simple. And today I'm going to show you how to do a whole turkey breast. This is bone-in, skin-on turkey breast in the Ninja Foodi pressure cooker and air crisper. It's so super easy and it's really fast, and the outcome is absolutely delicious. So I just recently did a video for a whole turkey in the Ninja Foodi, which I will link to right up there, because in that video I used a brine. So I brined the turkey for 16 to 24 hours. I think I did it about 24 hours. And then we cooked it under pressure. It was absolutely delicious. But this time I thought, let's skip it and see what the difference might be. So this one I did not brine. This is a 6-pound bone-in, skin-on turkey breast. So it's just the breast meat. And all I did was take it out of the package, give it a good rinse, and then I soaked it in some salted water. So I put about a 1/4 cup of salt into the sink, which had, was filled up with cold tap water, and I soaked it for about an hour. Now that is a brine in and of itself, because a brine is when you use some sort of a salted water or liquid to soak your meat in. But I did it real fast, so this is like an hour-long process. But you can skip that altogether as well. It won't make much of a difference. All right, so once I did that, I took the turkey breast out, put it on my cutting board, and sort of patted it dry. So it's pretty dry right now. I mean, there's a little bit of moisture still, and that's going to be there no matter what, but it is pretty dry because I do want to season the turkey before we go under pressure. But this time, instead of putting a rub on at this point, I'm just going to season with some salt and pepper. So I have a mixture here of just regular sea salt, which is fine grind, and then just regular table pepper, the fine grind table pepper. And I have the ratio is 2 parts salt to 1 part pepper. So I have 2 teaspoons of salt and 1 teaspoon of pepper in here. And I'm just going to go over the skin. You don't have to be real heavy-handed with this, because we are going to season it up after we pressure cook, and we're going to do that before we air crisp. I'm also going to get this salt and pepper into the cavity and all around. And you may not use it all, and that's fine. So just sprinkle it over until you've covered most of the surface here. And that looks good. All right, now I don't usually stuff my turkey or chicken with bread stuffing or cornbread stuffing, but I do almost always stuff the cavity with some sort of aromatics, herbs, and vegetables. So this time I'm gonna do the same that I did with my other turkey, and I'm gonna use a combination of thyme, rosemary, carrots, celery, oranges. I love a little citrus in my turkey or chicken. You can omit that. You can use orange. You could use lemon. You could use grapefruit. You could use lime. It's up to you, whatever you like. So I have 1 whole carrot that I just broke in half, because we're only going to put half into the turkey, and then we're going to put half into the pot to help flavor the juices that are going to probably become gravy, right? Because we like to make gravy with our turkey, the turkey juices, that come out. But we're not going to have as many with the turkey breast as we do with a full turkey. So I want to make sure it's as flavorful as it can be. So let's go ahead and get these things stuffed in. So I'll go this way is going to be easier. So I'm going to put in 1 full celery stalk, 1/2 of a carrot, probably about 2 slices of this orange. Probably not going to get much more than that in there. And you don't want to put the oranges into the broth, because under pressure that creates a bitterness coming from the pith, and you don't want that. So the other thing I'm going to do is put in 2 garlic cloves in here, and I think that's about it. We're going to get our herbs in, and then that's about all we can fit in here. So real quick, because I'm not going to use all these herbs, and I don't want to touch them now that my hands are dirty with touching the turkey. So I'm going to go wash them real quick. We're going to get the herbs in, then we'll get the liquid in the pot. We'll put some of these aromatics into the pot, get our turkey under pressure, and we're going to go under pressure for 10 minutes. All right, so in here I have about 2 to 3 sprigs of rosemary, and they're kind of broken up a little bit. And then I also have about 4 sprigs of fresh thyme. Now, if you didn't have fresh herbs, you could certainly add some dried herbs to the salt and pepper and just sprinkle that all over. That would be fine too. But I really love using fresh herbs when I can. So I'm going to stick this right in here. All right, and then we're just gonna throw that in the pot. We're gonna throw our celery in the pot. You don't even have to peel your carrot or anything like that. And this is also a great use for the ends of the celery. So if you're making stuffing and you're not gonna use these ends, just save them and then throw them into your pot so that they help flavor your stock. And then 1 cup of chicken bone broth. Now, I decided to use bone broth instead of stock because it's a little more concentrated. And again, I want to help this turkey out as much as I can because we're not going to get as many juices and there's not as many bones to create that deep depth of flavor that we get with a whole turkey. So I'm helping it out by using the bone broth, but you could use chicken stock or chicken broth. That would be fine. Or you could even use water if you want. All right, so we have the rack. We're gonna put the rack in the low position and we're gonna get our turkey on the rack. Whoops, my garlic flew away. Let me get that back in here. Now the turkey doesn't wanna sit exactly right on the rack, and that's okay, that's all right. It can sit sort of over to the side a little bit. That's not gonna create any problems. All right, so let's go into the pot now. Perfect. All right, I'm gonna wash my hands one more time and clean off my cutting board, and then we'll get the lid on and we'll get under pressure. All right, so after I got the 6-pound turkey breast onto the rack and I can see how high it's sitting, I'm not concerned about that for me because I know that my lid is gonna go on and I could go under pressure no problem. However, a 6-pound turkey breast is on the smaller side. You can get turkey breasts that are, 8, 9, 10 pounds. So this isn't going to work in a 6.5 quart, which I'm using on the rack. It would work probably in the 8 quart just fine, but a lot of people have the 6.5 quart, and that is what I'm using here in this video. So I thought I would show a different way that we could do this, and it's gonna have the same exact results, but we aren't gonna sit as high. So you can take the rack out, and if you have a sling like this one, you can use it. These come in handy a lot when you need things to sit a little bit lower. Or you could make a sling out of foil if you're okay with using foil. Some people are and some people aren't. But since I have the sling, I'm gonna go ahead and use it. So I'm just gonna take my turkey back off here, put it on the sling, and put it into the pot. And it's gonna sit just a little bit lower. You can tuck these in on the side here. So the choice is yours, okay? It doesn't matter which one you wanna use. If it fits on the rack, use the rack. If not, use a sling or use a foil sling that you can make. All right, I'm gonna go wash my hands one more time, and then we're gonna get under pressure for sure this time, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and get the pressure lid on and turn it to the seal and make sure the valve in the back is turned to the seal position because we want to go under pressure. Now, real quick before, because I could just do this automatically because I've thought about it for days, but you don't know that, right? So let me explain how I came up with the timing for the turkey breast. A whole turkey cooked so fast. I could not believe it. I overcooked my first turkey by several minutes, and then even on the video for the whole turkey, I overcooked it a little bit. And so I really had to start thinking, wow, we need to cut back the time. So I came up with a formula that I have listed in my written post that you can read, but basically with the turkey breast, what I decided to do is do 2 minutes per pound and then minus 2 minutes. So if you have a 6-pound turkey, you're gonna go 6 times 2, which is 12, but then take 2 minutes off. Because we found when we did a 6-pound turkey breast for 12 minutes, it was overcooked. And remember, after we pressure cook, we're gonna air crisp. So we want to leave a little bit of leeway with the temperature so that we don't overcook the turkey when we air crisp. So therefore, I have a 6-pound turkey. I multiplied it by 2, that's 12 minutes, and I'm gonna shave off 2. We're gonna go under pressure for 10 minutes. And I know that sounds absolutely crazy fast, but that's based on my experience. All right, so pressure cook on high, and 10 minutes is what we want. Hit start. It's gonna take probably 8 to 10 minutes for the pot to come up to pressure. There's not that much liquid in there, but I'm still thinking it's gonna take about 8 to 10 minutes. And then we'll go under pressure for the 10 minutes, and I'm gonna allow the turkey to natural release for 15 minutes. That's important because we don't wanna flip that switch and let all that steam out the pressure right away, because it will draw out the moisture from the meat and our turkey may be dry. So you definitely want to let it natural release at least 10 minutes, but I'm going to go 15. All right, so we just have a few seconds left to go under pressure. It took about 10 minutes, 10 to 12 minutes for the pot to come up to pressure, for the red pin to pop up, meaning we're totally under pressure, and then of course the countdown to start. And then we did 10 minutes of pressure cook time on high. We're gonna allow the pot to naturally release for 15 minutes. This means we do nothing. Sometimes I get questions about how do you do a natural release. You do nothing. You let the pot release the pressure on its own, and you won't even see it happening. You very seldom do you ever see any steam come out during the natural release process, but it is slowly releasing the pressure. As the steam dissipates, as the heat drops in the pot, then it releases some of the pressure. Okay, so we have the half a stick of butter here. This is a salted half of a stick of butter that I cut into about 1/4 inch slices. And I'm gonna make a little compound butter that we're gonna rub all over the turkey before we air crisp it. I think this is gonna add a delicious flavor, and I didn't want to do it before we went under pressure because it would mix with the steam and the water and it just would get diluted. So I want to do this afterwards. And I have 2 garlic cloves here that I minced up, and I'm just gonna put those in with the butter. And then I made up a little rub, and this rub is different than the other one, so you don't have to use this. You could use the rub that I use in my whole turkey, or you could use your own rub, whatever you prefer. But what I did here was I have 1 teaspoon of sea salt fine grind. I have a half of a teaspoon of just regular fine grind, like table pepper. I have a half of a teaspoon of ground thyme. Well, actually, I'm sorry. Let me back up. Half of a teaspoon of thyme leaves. They're not ground. Ground thyme is different. And if you wanted to use ground thyme, you can, but just use a 1/4 teaspoon instead of a half. And I have a half a teaspoon of dried crushed rosemary leaves and a half a teaspoon of onion powder. I didn't put any garlic powder in this because I've got the fresh garlic in here. And then I have a 1/4 teaspoon of poultry seasoning. And I just use a 1/4 teaspoon because it is a pretty powerful spice. I'm gonna dump that all in here. And then we're just gonna mix this up and just sort of get the butter, softened a little bit. I didn't want to melt the butter because I don't want it to go on melted. I want it to be in a solid state, but I'm just gonna keep mixing here until all these herbs and seasonings get mixed in with the butter. And this is basically what we do when we make any kind of a compound butter. Smells so good. All right, that looks about good. It doesn't have to be completely perfect like you would if you were serving it as like a butter that you would put on bread. Then you would really want it evenly dispersed. But for this, we don't need to. That's fine. So all of the spices now are into this butter. And then we're going to finish letting our turkey do its 15-minute natural release. Then we're going to get this all over our turkey and air crisping it. All right, so we let the pot natural release for 15 minutes. It's gone a little longer than that, actually, because guess what? I got distracted. Anyway, there's no pressure left, so I don't even have to release any pressure. It is all gone. All right. So now what I'm going to do is, first of all, get these little straps up so that I can grab them. It looks really good. It smells good, too. All right. And then let's lift it out. I'm putting it on some paper towels because there's going to be a lot of moisture. So I want to make sure that I can get that dried off. Looks like we've got a nice amount of juice down there too. All right. I'm just going to let that sit there for just a minute here. And while this cools down for the next step, I'm gonna let it cool probably about 10 minutes. I'm gonna transfer this juice into another container because we don't want to crisp the turkey before we empty this out. We wanna definitely have that emptied out or it's just gonna steam. Then let's take a temperature. When you take a temperature on a turkey, you wanna go into a thick part of the breast. A turkey breast, that is. A whole turkey, you do it a little bit differently, and I go over that in my other video. But for this, you want to go into a deep part of the turkey breast, but you don't want to hit the bone. And we are at 159. So we are really done here, okay? Because it's going to rise another 5 to 10 degrees. So we are totally cooked. I would have liked it to be a little undercooked, honestly. So I might even drop that time down from 10 minutes to 9 minutes or 8 minutes the next time I do a 6-pound turkey breast. But if you go the full 10, it's not gonna make that big of a difference. So let me let this cool down and transfer the juices into another container, clean out my pot, and then we will get our compound butter rubbed all over and we will get to air crisping it. All right, so now that this has cooled down some and I can actually handle it, what you can see is because of the rib cage here, you can't really set this straight up. And we want it setting flat so that we can evenly crisp all sides. Now, if you did not want to do the next step that I'm about to do, you do not have to. You could put it into the inner pot just like it is and air crisp it on this side and then flip it and air crisp it on the other side. But what I'm going to do is cut off the rib cage because it's serving no purpose at this point at all. There's no meat there that we're going to eat or anything like that. But I am going to save that rib cage for when we make turkey bone broth. So what I'm going to do is just take my knife and kind of separate here. And I'm trying to do this so that you can see it because you can cut right through these bones right now. They are very, very soft. I also took out most of the stuffing that was in the cavity. So I'm trying to get where you can see. And I'm just cutting right through the rib cage here. Use a sharp knife, but it's fairly easy to do. There we go. All right, so now we've taken off the rib cage and we should be able to have our turkey breast sit flat. Perfect. Now again, do not throw these away. That is perfect for bone broth and that's what I'm gonna do with it. All right, so now we've got our turkey breast that is sitting a little bit flatter. And there's a couple things that you could do here. You could just take your butter and rub it all over the outside, or you can loosen the skin a little bit, which is what I'm gonna do, and just go underneath and put the butter underneath the skin as well as over the skin. And that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm just gonna grab little pieces of this compound butter that we made, and I'm gonna go underneath. Now the beauty of pressure cooking a chicken or a turkey is it does loosen the skin some. So you're able to get under there a little bit easier, and that's what makes for a really crispy skin in my opinion. So I'm just gonna go underneath here. I know you can't really see this too well, but all I'm doing is just stuffing the butter underneath the skin and then rubbing it in. Let me see if I can do this where you can see. I'm trying to be gentle because I don't want to cut the skin open. You know, I don't want to gouge the skin. I want to go where it's lifting up. And unfortunately, the only way to do that is when I can see. And I can't see when it's facing you. I'm sorry. Maybe I could do it this way. So right in here, I'm just going up just like that and then putting some of my butter underneath there and then just move it along. You don't have to stick your whole hand up in there because you can just move the butter right along. It's gonna melt because the turkey is hot already. And move it. And I'm going to do that with the rest of the butter here. It smells so good. I'm excited for this. The whole turkey came out just really good, but I wasn't able to air crisp it because my turkey was just too big. All right. The other thing I should have done before I started doing this is I should have started to preheat the Ninja Foodi because you want it to be hot when you put this in, but I forgot. Now I'm just rubbing some of it on the outside as well. This is kind of messy, I will tell you that. All right, I think that's good. I didn't quite use all of it, but I guess I can go under here a little bit more. I don't want to pull the skin back because I really, you don't want to expose the breast meat because that's what will dry it out under the crisper. So you want to keep that meat as covered as possible with the skin. That's going to protect it. All right, that looks great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to preheat the Ninja Foodi on air crisp at 400 degrees, wash my hands, and then we're going to get this baby into the Ninja Foodi. All right, so we just have a few more minutes. I preheated on 400 on air crisp for 10 minutes, and we just have a couple more minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and get the turkey back onto the sling. It's going to be easiest if you have a sling or if you make one out of foil, or you might even be able to get away with using the rack if your turkey breast is small enough. So I'm just going to put my fork here through the cavity to lift it up easier and just put it right on there. Now these juices are that butter and that yummy deliciousness. And remember, the turkey is completely cooked, so these are safe. So I'm going to pour them over top of the turkey once I get it in, just to kind of baste it a little bit. And then anything that is left in the bottom, I'm actually going to put into the broth. This added fat from the butter is going to help us make a really delicious gravy. So I definitely want to save those. Save the juices that come off after we crisp the skin. I'm looking forward to this. I mean, I loved the way the whole turkey turned out. I really did. But I know that a lot of people, if they're going to have a turkey for Thanksgiving or any other time, they're going to have like a 20-pound turkey. And you just can't do that in the Ninja Foodi. But if you're cooking turkey for 1 or 2 people, or even 3 or 4, doing a turkey breast is a good alternative. And it's so fast. That's one thing I'm shocked. These are faster than chicken, and I just don't even know why, honestly. I've been trying to figure out why they're so much faster. All right, with 1 more minute to go, I'm going to go ahead and put the time back up to 15 minutes. I don't think it's going to take that long, but we don't know. And get our turkey in, and I'm just going to put these little straps here to the side. And hopefully they don't impede anything. And then we put our tender crisp lid down, and oh, I forgot about that. We've got to get this on there. Oh, look at that. I probably should have saved some for, in a few minutes. But anyway, that looks great. All right, so in about 5 minutes, I will check this and see how we're crisping up. All right, so I checked it at about 5 minutes in, and it wasn't really close. But I thought, let's check it together now and see how we're coming along. It looks so good. I mean, it looks really, really good. One thing I wish is that I should have probably tried to turn these the other way so that they weren't touching, but they're not really impeding anything, really. So they're not really doing a bad job. Okay, they're not getting in the way too much. I think we can go longer though, guys. So that's what I'm gonna do. But it's browning up really nice. It's probably gonna go the whole 15 minutes. All right. I'm so excited for this one. I think I'm excited about all of them, though, because I just love great food, and I know you guys do, too. And I can't tell you how much it means to me to get all the wonderful comments and messages that you've made some of my recipes, and you love them. So it really means the world to me, so thank you so much for that. Now, I've been checking on this about every 2 minutes. You want to watch it very carefully because you don't want it to burn, obviously. I mean, you don't want to go through all this work and then have it burn. So I'm going to check it again in just a few seconds, and then we'll make a decision. I just heard it pop. Maybe I'll open it up now. Oh, yeah. I think we're done. I definitely think we're done. So that was, 13 minutes? So what I'm going to do is take these out and let them cool just a minute. So these will cool down really fast, but right now they're super duper hot. So I'm gonna let that cool down and then I'll put it onto my cutting board. And actually, you know what? I'll grab my little mitts and I'll grab it out and then we'll let it cool for 10 minutes before we carve it up because you do wanna let it rest for 10 minutes at least. Get this out now. Isn't that beautiful? Oh my goodness. Yes. Oh, I'm excited. So what I could have done, which I didn't do, but you could certainly do it, is while it's in there crisping, you can kind of turn it on its side so you could get a little bit more crispiness here. But I didn't because the skin has pulled away from the meat here on this side, and I do not want to air crisp the meat itself. It's just going to dry out and become kind of tough. So I didn't want to do that. All right, let's get this off. I think I can touch this now. Wow, that looks great. You could put it on a rack if you wanted. Usually with a whole turkey or any other meat, I usually keep it above the cutting board a little bit, but I'm not gonna worry about that this time. And I do that just so it doesn't steam underneath, but we didn't crisp up the underneath and we're not eating the underneath, so it really doesn't matter. All right, I'm gonna let this sit for 10 minutes and then we're gonna carve it up and we'll get to tasting our turkey. All right, so our turkey's been sitting for about 10 minutes and now I'm going to go ahead and carve it up for you. So what I like to do is go ahead and split the skin in the back with a sharp knife so that I can see where the breastbone is on the top, so I can try to go in between the breastbone and the breast meat. Now, I'm not a professional at this by any stretch of the imagination, but I usually do a pretty good job. This one is a little bit harder because, truth be told, I don't usually make turkey breast that often. So I'm just trying to feel where this bone is. And this is a little lopsided, it looks like to me. The front of it did not get as crispy as the top. And of course, I couldn't see that from my perspective. So you could always turn it around as well and then get that other side, get the front side really crisped up. All right, it looks like it's coming off pretty easily. So you'll get a whole big chunk of the turkey breast off of here. It's still a little hot for me to handle. That's why I'm kind of doing it in pieces, but there you go. All right, so there we go. So now the whole turkey breast has been removed and very little has remained on the breastbone. I'll use that for my bone broth as well. And then you just repeat the same process on the other side. All right, so both of the turkey breasts have been removed. Now, I will keep this, of course, for bone broth and or turkey soup. So you could keep this. There's, some meat still left on here because the breast didn't come apart as easily as they usually do on a whole turkey. I'm not sure why. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this chopped up a little bit. And I'll taste it. I'm excited. I'm gonna get this side over here because it's nice and brown. Looks good. Looks very good. Now, I will say that the turkey that I brined did look a lot juicier. But also, I wasn't able to crisp that one up because it was too tall for my 8-quart. I could only get a 10-pound turkey. All right, now as I get into the center here, it does look a little bit juicier, but still not quite as moist as the one that I did for the whole turkey that I did. But I think a couple things happened there. Number one, I didn't air crisp it afterwards. I only did pressure cook, so it was really, really juicy. And then also I brined it, and I think that makes a difference personally. Some people are all for brining and some people say no, but I really like it. So I prefer a turkey brined, I think, just by looking at this meat versus the one that I brined. But it's still gonna be delicious. I mean, it doesn't look dry or anything, but it definitely is not as moist looking or feeling as the whole turkey. So let's see. Yeah, it's definitely more dry. Definitely. Yeah, it looks beautiful, but I'm gonna tell you what, that whole turkey was much tastier. So I would definitely say that we need to go down on the time from 10 minutes. We need to go down to 8 minutes for a 6-pound turkey. I think you really want to have it undercooked so that when we do that 13 minutes of crisping, because the skin is good and it's beautiful, but who cares about what it looks like? What matters is what it tastes like. And this one does not measure up to the one that I pressure cooked. I mean, the turkey's good, but not as good. The flavor's good, but not as good. All right, well, that's how you do a turkey breast. Just cook it a couple minutes less than I did. So 2 minutes per pound, and then I would take off probably 4 minutes of that total number. So I would have gone 8 minutes for my 6-pound turkey. I think that would have brought in the temperature just at about 150, 155 at the most, and then we finish those 10 degrees when we air crisp. And I think you would be perfect at that point. But we're gonna make some gravy anyway, so we'll cover that little bit of dryness up with some delicious gravy, right? All right, so I've got all this delicious juice and everything from making our turkey breast, and I've already strained it out, so we've gotten rid of all of the whole ingredients like the carrots and the celery and stuff like that. Now, I'm gonna use my Ninja Foodi hot cold blender and turn this into some quick and easy gravy. So stick around, watch that video right over there.